Heroes Like Us is a series intended at sharing comic book characters from various backgrounds and identities. We won't always get everything right, so feel free to make amendments and corrections in the comments. They're always appreciated. What's not appreciated, however, is any form of hate speech or intolerance, so comments of that nature will be immediately deleted and those users blocked from this channel. This is a place of education and celebration. Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic and welcome to Heroes Like Us, the video series where we take in identity and we look at superheroes that affiliate with that identity. So today we're talking about characters that are Russian, and this could either be literally from Russia or they are by ancestor Russian. So let's start by talking about probably one of the most prominent Russian heroes, and that is Colossus from Marvel Comics and from the X-Men. Colossus grew up with a brother and a sister in Russia and discovered that he had the mutant ability to turn his skin into this metallic substance. And when he did this, he became virtually indestructible and incredibly strong. So he came to the United States, learned under Charles Xavier, and became the hero Colossus. Colossus has gone through a lot, including a time when he served as a villain for a while, including a time when he had the powers of the Juggernaut, so he became the Juggernaut for a while, and most recently, he became a horseman of the apocalypse, and he did so with other members, Deadpool, Moon Knight, and the Venom symbiote. What a team. And Apocalypse gave him an interesting addition to his abilities to actually control the metal on his body so he can make weapons and things. So kind of a cool spin on a classic character. What's really interesting about Colossus though, and this is why he's one of my favorite characters, is that even though he is the tank of every team he's on, he's also incredibly gentle and calm, and he's an artist, he loves to paint, and so this duality I've always found very interesting. Up next, we're going to talk about Colossus's sister, who also is a mutant by the name of Magik, or her real name, Illyana. Illyana, when she was young, discovered that she had the mutant ability to create basically portals that led to other places and times. And in between these portals is a place called Limbo, and through a very complicated story, she gets kidnapped and stuck in this limbo for most of her childhood, and so she has to learn how to survive there. So she learns witchcraft and sorcery and becomes this powerful warrior. She gets this sword called the Soul Sword, which the more powerful she gets, the more powerful it gets. And so she's fighting demons, she learns how to summon demons. She eventually comes back to the real world, and when she does so, she comes back at the exact moment that she was taken, meaning that no time has passed, but for her, many years have passed. So for a while, she fought on the team The New Mutants. She learned under Charles Xavier, but unfortunately, tragedy struck when something called the Legacy Virus kills Illyana. And this is what causes her brother Colossus to go evil for a while. However, no one is dead forever, and Illyana comes back through a long series of resurrections and spells, and she is now with us. And most recently, her and Colossus both were prominent figures in the Avengers vs. X-Men story, where both of them inherited power from the Phoenix Force and were kind of main characters in that story. Up next, we've got a villain from Marvel Comics. I don't talk about villains a lot, but let's dive into Omega Red. Omega Red is the result of an old USSR experiment where they wanted to kind of replicate Captain America, but they also wanted to kind of do their own Weapon X thing, and they ended up creating Omega Red. And he was a mutant before the experiment. His ability was to kind of send out these spores that would kill or incapacitate people around him. So incredibly deadly. But what Weapon X did, and what these experiments did, is they gave him these tentacles that basically could harness this power so he could suck the life energy from people to himself. And this ended up becoming a crutch because he ended up needing to do this to survive, almost like a vampire. So his stories, he's always a horrible person, but he has this understandable motivation that he's always looking for a cure, looking for a way to stop having to do this. Up next, we have a group of characters from Russia called Rocket Red, and this is DC Comics. Rocket Red, actually there's the Rocket Red Brigade, which is a group of people in these suits that protect Russia, and they're kind of like Iron Man suits. They can fly, shoot lasers and stuff like that. And so there's a group of them, and one of them is notable for leaving the Rocket Red Brigade and becoming his own hero in the Justice League International. And so Gavriel Ivanovich becomes Rocket Red. His time there is not long though, and he is killed. But the group of the Rocket Red Brigade is still in Russia, still protecting the borders, patrolling the country, things like that. Up next from Marvel Comics, we've got Black Widow Natasha Romanov. And Natasha was raised in a program for basically creating assassins. And so she was trained from a very early age in the skills of espionage and assassination. And so she is incredibly deadly. And she was a spy for the USSR. And she is a human, but she is trained to the point of being what we call peak human, that everything she does is better. The only thing really supernatural about her is they did give her a serum that increases her lifespan. So even though she was functioning back in like the 50s and 60s, she is still as young as she was then. She eventually joined the Avengers, though it did take a long time for them to trust her because she is by nature a spy. Up next from Marvel Comics, we've got a hero called Anole, Victor Borkowski. He was raised in the US, but his family is Russian, and he has this mutant ability that is basically replicating reptilian skills, traits, and he is able to kind of stick to walls and climb, and he's very agile. And when he loses an appendage, it grows back. So he lost an arm, and it grew back stronger and kind of covered in this armor. And so you'll see he eventually gets bigger and tougher through this kind of evolution. He also has a tongue that is able to grab onto things. He's able to camouflage into his environment. He basically is kind of able to do everything like a lizard would do. In addition to being a mutant, in addition to looking like a lizard, he has also come out as gay. And so we will talk about those struggles a little bit more when we get to our gay heroes video. But know that he has layers upon layers of discrimination that he has to face daily. Lastly, we've got a DC hero by the name of Red Star, Leonid Kovar. He was in an accident with like a spaceship, and it blew up, and it gave him these powers, and he's able to fly, and he's kind of really strong, and he can kind of explode into and control fire. So pyrokinesis, basically. And he is a hero from Russia, he served in the Teen Titans for a while, and eventually went back to Russia. And he is actually designated by the government to be the protector, like the state protector of Russia. And so he has a ship that kind of floats above the Kremlin, and he watches out for the country and its people from there. So that is just a handful of Russian comic book characters. If there's ones we missed, let me know in the comments. We will probably do a part 2, so give me your feedback. Hopefully this was interesting, especially for those of you that might be Russian. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.